Hey everybody, welcome back to Spirit Hunters Paranormal 9/11. My name is Tim. I hope everybody is safe out there and well with everything that's going on right around us. I'm doing a series on paranormal investigating and research. I have a first part video already out. I hope you've had a chance to watch it. This is the second part, and today I'm going to be talking a little bit about the different type of investigations that we can do. I want to talk a little bit about safety and the protection that can be taken. Just some basic rules of being an investigator, and I'd like to talk about a little bit on becoming an investigator, because there are people out there kind of intrigued by it and would like to get into doing paranormal research or investigating. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. I'll start off with the different types of investigating that can be done. A lot of people think that, to do paranormal research, you need to go to places that are haunted or places that have some type of paranormal activity. This is not necessarily true. It does help, but it doesn't have to have any type of haunting or anything. You can pick up paranormal activity pretty much just about anywhere, even in your own home. I like to do a lot of cemeteries because it does seem to have a lot of spirit energy that surrounds places like that. A lot of stuff that I do at home or somewhat seances, and I can draw energy as well from there to be able to get some type of spirit activity. But you can do different places. Like I say, you can do cemeteries, you can do kind of old abandoned houses, you can be at home, you can go around a hospital, which I don't very much advise, because sick people are there and they're not really want to see stuff like that going on around them. Funeral homes, there's just different places. A lot of times you'll be driving down the road and you'll happen to see a cross or some kind of memorial marker alongside the road where there may have been an accident or something, that somebody had passed away there. Sometimes I will stop at places like that and try to do a spirit box session, see if I can't raise some communication. It sometimes happens, it sometimes don't. That's one thing that you get in doing paranormal research. You have to have a lot of patience, because you can go to places and spend an hour or longer trying to get some kind of paranormal activity, some kind of communication, or any type of sign that there is any type of activity there. A lot of times you will not get nothing. It's almost like, well, you're just there to visit that day. Other times you go, you may get some, or you may get a lot. You just never know. So you got to have patience when doing research in the paranormal field. Now, I do know that spirits are somewhat like humans too. This is more on the safety line. If you kind of insult or be rude or anger a human, a lot of times they're going to get a little bit mad at you and possibly wind up getting in a fight. Spirits, are basically the same. You get them angry, they're going to let you know. The only difference is that humans, you can see it coming. A spirit or a spirit energy, you can't. It's invisible. They sneak up on you and push you or throw you or hit you, bite you, scratch you. I mean, you don't know it's coming. So I follow some basic rules, and most of the paranormal investigators out there follow these basic rules as well. There are some that like to push it to the limit, try to aggravate the spirits so they can get more activity, but I feel that sometimes can put you in a dangerous situation. I prefer to go with the method of um, being respectful to them. I don't insult them. I don't try to dishonor them in any way. I try to be polite just like I would to anybody that I talk to. They say you're nice to them, they'll be nice to you. And I find that I do get, you know, some response back from them by showing them that respect. Uh, you know, and another thing that when you're doing an investigation, you may see some kind of trinket or something on the ground or alongside. If you go to cemeteries, like around a headstone or something like that, do not take these objects home with you. Leave them there. They were put there for a reason, to honor the dead. And I haven't personally had it happen to myself because I've never taken anything from any cemetery. I don't even pick up a stone or a stick or anything. What's there stays there. But I have talked with other colleagues that have picked up something or take something home or disturbed a grave in some way or form, and they've had some bad things, happen to them. They have had some type of energy follow them home, which is, to me, not a good thing to have happen. I haven't had that happen to me because I take, pretty much all precautions that I can use to do so. But it does happen, and a lot of people, say that they're afraid to do this type of research because they're afraid that something will go home with them or attach themselves to them, or they'll get hurt in some way or form. If you use these precautions and use protection items that are available, it does help. I believe in them. I'm not saying that they actually are the reason for nothing happening, but I do believe that possibility, excuse me, that possibility is there. A lot of investigators, they have their own methods, their own devices that they use. Some will use like a cross necklace. They may have some type of gemstone. There are gemstones that are said to help protect against evil spirits or bad energy. My theory or my beliefs are that if you have a strong faith in the Lord, that is the biggest protection that you can have. Always believe in God. He's always there to protect us, watch over us. So every time we go on an investigation, that's one of the routines that we do before we even start an investigation. We'll say a little prayer asking for His protection, and we always, kind of follow up with an after protection, or not protection, but after prayer when we leave. And I believe that they do help. Also believe in the some of the gemstones that people kind of swear by that are good, that I use. And you can always go online to Amazon and check into protection crystals. They are available, and and the pricing is real reasonable. Of course, there, that's where you get a lot of your equipment too, but we'll talk about equipment on a different video. On the subject of doing an investigation, you don't necessarily have to have any type of training or hold a degree as like a paranormal psychologist or any type of schooling. Anybody can do paranormal research. Just follow the basic rules. Be respectful. Don't go in and disturb any of the items or objects in a place that you are investigating. You know, I believe that if you go to a place and you're polite, you get a lot more response from them. Not necessarily off the bat. I know that we've gone to places and many times we've gotten nothing. We've gone back 2 to 3 times before we even actually gotten any type of activity. That's why I say you really need to have patience. Don't get discouraged because nothing happens. Just be patient and stay with it. Eventually you will start getting activity. Now I don't want to call it a gift. I have some type of ability that I can pick up feelings on energy that's around me, whether it's a good energy or bad energy. I am able to see things that most people can't. I hear whispers or voices. I'm able to pick up on different sounds. For instance, like somebody walking around me and nobody being there. This does help me, but it's not necessarily that you have to have any type of ability to be able to do paranormal research. I do have a lot of people ask me the best way of, or what is needed, the best way of going about becoming a paranormal investigator. You don't have to have a lot of fancy equipment, spend a lot of money. You just have to have some basic items. A lot of these items that you can go online and download onto your phone that do work. There's a lot of them that don't. I've tried many different ones. Some of them that I believe are effective. There's others that I can't positively say that they're what I'm getting from them is actually pertaining to any of the energy or anything that I'm getting when I'm doing an investigation. But I have found a few of them that I do believe actually work. But if you're doing an investigation, you really want to have a camera, a still camera to take still shots. Have a video camera because it's always good to video record to catch your evidence or everything that happens to you on camera. It's good to have a digital voice recorder because a lot of times you will not hear a spirit talk, but your camera or voice recorder, a lot of times it will pick up their sound, where you can listen back to it later after your investigation and be able to hear things that you didn't hear with your own ears. I do like to use EMF meter or K2 meter, however you want to call it. It picks up on a electromagnetic energy, which is a lot of what spirits give out when there's some kind of energy around it. Now these things can go off under different reasons, so be careful how you interpret it, what you're capturing on it. If you're around any type of power source like refrigerator, stove, power lines, even a cell phone, sometimes there are cameras that will set these off to make them light up and flash. And a lot of people think, well, I just had some communication, or I've gotten some kind of spirit energy. Be sure you double check your surroundings when doing this, because sometimes there are other things that will set it off. Our earth is made up of a lot of magnetic energy that will set it off. So I have a act of, before I even do investigating, just kind of doing a walkthrough with my meter, just kind of moving it around all over, low to the ground, up in the air, beside me, to see if I can get any readings. And if I do, then I kind of look the situation over and see if I can see anything visibly or any reason why they might be going off. So be sure you check that to make sure you're getting actually a true reading or something else that could be setting it off. Also, when I do my investigations, I like to communicate with the spirits. I mean, it's not like talking with you or talking with someone else where you hold a conversation. You're doing talking. They could possibly be talking back to you. You're just not hearing it. But I do more of a, I guess you would say, kind of a question or a suggestion to get them to interact with me. For example, when I go in, I'll kind of introduce myself so they know who I am. I'll let them know that the equipment that I am using there, it will not harm them in any way. It's just there to help me make communication with them, to possibly pick up some type of activity from them to verify that they are here around us or trying to communicate with us. I will ask them to do different things, like go to my K2 meter, use their energy to touch it or just be close enough to it to make it light up. I ask them, to come and, speak into my camera or my voice recorder. So sometimes that you'll be able to pick up a voice recognition there. I do use a spirit box. There are many spirit boxes out there. I started out, well, in the old school days, we didn't have a lot of the equipment that they have nowadays. Technology is just, gone up there, and they're always putting out something new. But we will talk about equipment on a different day. But I started out with, when I was doing the video part, was using kind of like a K2 meter, an EMF meter. And the first one I bought didn't seem to get a whole lot of action out of it. So I thought, well, maybe I need to try a different one. So I got a little different one that I kind of rely on because it seems to be more sensitive. It would pick up on just a small amount of energy. The stronger the energy, the better readings I get, but it does seem to pick up better on the energy. Voice recorder, you can get pretty much any common voice recorder. Use it. You don't want to do a lot of talking when you're doing investigating. You want to talk here and there. Usually, if I have some type of feeling or I hear a sound, I'll always say something. That way, I record it on camera, whether the camera picked up what I saw, heard. A lot of times that doesn't happen, but I always say, everything I feel, whether I hit a cold spot, whether I heard like a whisper or some type of movement or any type of sound, always kind of relay that, while I'm doing my investigation. The as I was saying on spirit boxes, there's so many, but I use the SB7, which a lot of investigators use. The only thing I don't like about it is that you hear the white noise in it, so it's hard to hear or pick up the voices from the spirit, if that's what we are picking up. Excuse me. But you know, with the SB7, it scans radio frequencies. You can either scan them forward or scan them backwards. I prefer to scan them backwards because a lot of the stations that you do pick up, they're hard to make out what you're hearing from the radio station because it's on like a reverse. That way, when you do hear something come through, it'd be like me talking. You know, you don't hear full sentences. You may just hear words. You may hear one word. You may hear a few seconds later another word. You try to pick up on if you're hearing from like the same voice, the same person, and you kind of concentrate on everything that you hear that's coming through from like a same voice. You'll hear a lot of different voices because I think spirits, they don't necessarily communicate with us. They communicate with each other, so sometimes it feels like I'm hearing conversations between two spirits talking, which is kind of unique. It doesn't happen very often, but it is kind of interesting to listen to them talk. But it's not like they're just talking a full sentence. You're just hearing bits and pieces. You have to kind of like put them together like a puzzle. But you can pick up a lot from that. A lot of times that you may not understand or hear, that when I get back home, I put my headphones on and listen to those recordings again. A lot of times I can pick up on stuff that way that I wasn't able to hear just listening to it as I was doing it. So be sure you do kind of double check and go over. You may have to listen to it several times, you know, and you know, before you actually hear some of the words that is coming through. You know, sometimes they're plain, sometimes they're not. And I try to use, you know, rather than the whole like the conversation we would, I try to get them to answer questions, you know, yes or no question, something that is there, or if they could say one of our names. You know, I always ask them to say their name, possibly if I'm at a graveyard. I ask them, you know, if they can tell me what year they died. You know, just little questions like that. Because if I can get a response back to those type of questions, I can more, not verify, but can say that I had some kind of communication because I'm getting a response to certain questions that I ask. So these are some of the little tricks that you can do, you know, if you want to become an investigator. You know, just follow these basic rules. You know, be polite, respectful, use your wording in a way that you're not, I guess, disrespecting them. You're asking them to, you know, come and interact with you, answer, you know, questions, you know, yes or no questions, something that you can use towards documented evidence that yes, you did communicate with them. I'm going to take a little break here, kind of picking up on a little energy that I want to kind of deal with here at the moment, because this does happen to me. A lot of times I'll pick up on an energy that's around me. That happens to me quite a bit, which to me is a good thing, because it helps me in a lot of my investigations when I have some kind of source or energy that guides me to places where I need to be, or places that's like they're wanting to communicate with us, and it helps out quite a bit. But we'll come back here and we'll talk a little bit more on the subjects. I'm not very good at doing a lot of these videos. I'm not the type of person that does like a public speech or anything like that, so you will hear me repeat myself on a lot of the things. I apologize for that. I'm not used to doing videos, but I try to cover everything I can with as much information that I can. And I will say that possibly some of the information I do, I may be wrong on. I can't say that I'm 100% correct on everything I say. A lot of the stuff I talk about is based on personal experience, or things that I've communicated with other colleagues on, things that have happened to them. A lot of it is based down that line, so try to keep that in mind. And we'll take a little short break and we'll come right back. Okay, we're back. That was kind of a strange little energy that I was getting. It was like it was trying to guide me, draw me to a place, and wasn't getting a lot from it, but what I was hearing or seeing, it was like they were describing kind of a place, and it kind of seems like it was a place that I've been to before, of a cemetery. Not sure which one, because a lot of the details just weren't clear. Unfortunately, I didn't have my camera going, or I didn't have my K2 meter in here, because I tried to interact with that energy a little bit. I did, I did get it to touch me, which it's kind of spooky, when something touches you, you don't even know it's coming. But I did get something that touched me, and also, asked it to, like I usually do, ask it to make itself known, or its presence known, by making a sound or moving something. I had a flashlight that was sitting over here that I had to replace the batteries in for our next investigation, and it just came on. It's something that you really can't explain why, but more likely, you can kind of label it as some type of energy that caused that to happen. So that was kind of eventful. Like I say, unfortunately, I didn't have my camera going to witness any of it. So that does happen. You have things that will happen around you, and you just don't get it caught on video. Back to the subjects that we were talking about. We were talking about different things. One thing I can say, because a lot of people say, well, I'm kind of scared and afraid of being able to do any type of paranormal work. To me, you don't really want to be afraid. You got to be kind of strong about it, because spirit energy can use, especially a negative energy, can use that fear to gain their strength. So I really don't try to show fear. Yeah, you're going to be caught off guard or scared when something happens that you weren't expecting, because you don't see nothing around you. You hear noises, or have something touch you. That's going to stall you and kind of scare you. But I don't show it as a fear because I don't want to let them think that I'm weak, that they can use that against me. So try not to show that type of fear. It helps. There are different types of spirits. You know, you have your residual, you have your intelligent, you have your poltergeist, and then of course you have your demon energy. Demon I can't really talk a lot about. I'm still studying in that field. So, you know, that's information that I can't quote or verify or, you know, anything positive about, because I just don't know that much about it at this point. It's pretty much a harder subject of all the subjects I've taken. You know, before I can get a little bit further into that. But the residual spirit is usually, we don't know for sure, but you know, everybody is kind of, from everything that they've gathered, that it is an energy of someone who has passed away, but it's like they don't even really know that they have passed away. They're just basically still living their normal lives. So they're going about their own business. They're not acknowledging that you're there, that you're even talking with them or trying to communicate with them. They're just doing their own thing. Intelligent spirit is one that does know they've passed on, and we don't know whether they were stuck in this world because they possibly had some unfinished business. They weren't ready to go to the other side. We really don't know, but they are more willing to do things for us, communicate, have some type of activity with us, which is where we get a lot of our readings and things that we capture are from those type of spirits. Poltergeist spirit, to me, that is a very strong spirit energy. Not necessarily bad, but that energy has the ability to move objects, which is great because when you're able to capture things like that, it's kind of priceless. You know, you don't see it very often, and it's hard to capture on video. A lot of times it'll happen when your camera's pointed the wrong way. You might see it, or somebody else might see it, but to catch it on video, to document, to show that it actually did happen, doesn't happen quite as much as I would like to. You know, it's almost like I wish I had about 20 cameras pointing in every direction to cover the total area around me. So if I'm looking somewhere else, that camera over there maybe catches some of this evidence or some of these things that happen. But that can't get to be expensive buying a bunch of cameras. So we just do the best we can trying to catch what we can. But the poltergeist energy, like I say, it's more of a higher energy that has the ability to do things. Spirits, they get their energies in different ways. They can get it from electrical, your appliances, your power source in your cameras, your flashlights, even your cell phones. They draw energy from water, which is a big energy form, especially if you're around a waterfall or a strong flowing river. They draw energy from. Electrical storms are great because they can draw a lot of energy from that. I do find out that I get a lot of activity on a stormy weather day. Of course, it's kind of hard to be out on site in a cemetery or outdoors, you know, video when it's pouring down the rain and electrical storms going on. So, but we try to do more of a in-home session, trying to communicate with spirits, and we do get some pretty good results, you know, from that. They also can use draw energy from you. You know, a lot of times you'll get a feeling that you just kind of lost all your energy. You feel kind of weak or dizzy or kind of nauseous, real tired. A lot of times that can be, if you're having a lot of activity around that you're getting, that can be contributed to that the spirit has touched you or is drawing from your energy. You know, the more energy they have, the more things they are able to do. You will see anything from kind of a mist, especially at nighttime or even during the day. You see like a mist or a smoky type image. You might see some type of a light anomaly, not necessarily like an orb going by. It could be different type shapes. It could be kind of a flash, different colors. I've had several of these type things have happened that I've been able to see. You know, those are some of the things that they use with their energy to be able to, you know, set off our E2 or EMF meters or talk through the spirit box. They have to have some energy to be able to do that. The stronger energy, the better they can do, the more power that they can put out. Instead of just making your K2 flicker a little bit, they can make it light up all the way, and just a strong, constant flash going on. They use that energy as well as to be able to speak. Like I say, not necessarily you're going to be able to hear them, but your camera could pick them up, or your digital recorder could pick them up. They use this energy, especially if you're using like a spirit box session. They use that energy to manipulate things. They can even manipulate your phone. It's been known that somebody had passed away, and the phone that they had, there was their personal phone or something. A member of the family had gotten a text message from that old phone number, and you know, it's kind of hard to prove that that's what happened. I mean, somebody else could be playing a trick, or kind of a bad one, I would say, you know, posing as a dead person's spirit to communicate with a family member. That's that's kind of low to me, but you know, it's hard to prove, but they say that it does happen. But they are able to manipulate these devices to be able to communicate with us. How true it is, we really don't know. This field is such a wide range of things that happen that it's hard, you know, to verify and say this is actually what we're getting. We don't really know. Nobody really knows. We hope or think that we are getting closer to answering a lot of these questions, that we are getting closer to proving that this is really happening, and this is why it's happening, how it's happening, but we're still a long way from there. So this pretty much wraps up this video. Kind of give you a basic things that you can do if you want to become a paranormal investigator, doing that type of research. Some of the tricks of the trade, of things you can do to help gather your evidence or be able to communicate with spirits. Always be polite, be respectful, treat them like you would want them to treat you. You can get a lot more response from them that way. You know, always when you go into place, leave it the same when you went into it as when you leave. You know, do not rearrange, disturb. You know, it's all right to touch and pick up and look and stuff like that, but do not say, well, that's antique, I'm going to take that home with me. Do not do that, because that could wind up with some bad energy going with you, or even possibly even be harmed because you aggravated it. So please don't do that. I wouldn't recommend it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you didn't catch our first one, please go back and watch it, because there's a lot of good information there. These videos are kind of educational, it's kind of pointers to help newcomers out, because it helped me out. There was a lot of things that I didn't know in the beginning, and a lot of this has helped me out. Getting the education on different courses and studies has helped me out, as well as talking with other paranormal investigators that have given me pointers that has helped me out considerably. So keep that in mind. If you have any comments or something that you have a question to, send me a comment, because we always look at our comments, try to communicate with all our viewers. I may know the answer, I may not. I try to answer the question for you. If I don't know, I can possibly talk with some of the other colleagues that I communicate with all the time. They possibly could answer that question that I will get back to you with. Let us know how you like our videos. If you see anything that we could do different, or maybe possibly make them better, because that's what we're trying to do. Make these videos more appealing, more presentable, interesting for our viewers, something they will enjoy. If you see anything in our videos, especially when we go on our investigations that we may have missed, definitely comment and let us know, because we like to be able to go back to that video and see what we actually may have possibly missed. So your comments are valuable to us. Till our next video, which we'll probably talk more on. Don't know whether I'll do video on different types of equipment, what they're capable of doing, what we do with them, how we use them. Because there's so many out there. Some of them are better than others, but you can get good equipment at a reasonable price. Some of it you can get is where it doesn't cost you anything. You can go back, if you're a beginner and don't have a lot of money you want to invest in this equipment, you can use some old style equipment that I started out with years ago that can be used. We will go over some of that. Also, one of my videos, I want to talk more on how we do investigations, the procedures, the steps, everything to do a professional investigation, to document, come up with the final results of what we were able to capture, being able to analyze, debunk our investigation, to throw out things that are caused by some other type of source, not necessarily any type of spirit energy. It's a time-consuming steps to be able to do a proper video or a proper investigation. So we'll kind of go over that. It might help you out, some of those pointers there. But until our next video, I hope you all enjoyed this one. Watch our first one. Be sure to catch our next one that comes out. And as I always say, stay spooky.